do you prefer the rules in English or French?
En anglais, s'il vous plaît.
So you have 20 minutes to present your case to the judges. We'll call them aside for the last 10, 5, 2 minutes, and the last 30 seconds as well. During the last 10 seconds, I will indicate the time remaining with my fingers. And if you have not finished your presentation after 20 minutes, you will be stopped in order to proceed to the Q&A period. A Q&A period maximum of 5 minutes will be allocated to the jury at the end of your presentation. And please remember that at any time you cannot mention or reference the name or the location of your university. You can go away.
Just one quick question. Can you make sure we see the sign, please? So, dear owners of NSI, we understand that at first you weren't sure if you wanted to hire us or not, and we know that the 2 or 3 of you guys really weren't sure if consulting an external source was the right move. However, we were very confident that by the end of the presentation, you'll have a change of heart. Now, we're here today because you have many different alternatives in front of you, and here at Team L Consulting, we feel that we will provide you with the best alternative for you. My team, which consists of Megan, Andre, and myself, will provide you that alternative today. Now, I'll pass on the floor to Andre, who's going to take a quick look at your company overview.
So let's just take a quick look at where you've been, why you want us here, and what we can do for you today. So first, you're a private company operating in the video game industry, so we will assume that you are following the accounting standards for private enterprises. You've been experiencing significant growth due to the release of a new iOS game called Bosses 101, which we do commend you for. And right now, you're looking to further expand that growth to be sustainable in the future. So right now, you have that image of quality, and you want to grow while keeping that same image. So let's jump right into the mandate for today. First, we will analyze the options you have given us for sustainable growth in the future. We do want to point out that we want to keep that image of quality, so we will evaluate these different options you've provided us today on more of a strategic standpoint. So we will evaluate the pros and cons of the different options. Then, once we have come to a conclusion, we'll take a look at some quantitative analysis to really enforce those numbers. We will then recommend you with which projects you should be pursuing in the future, and then finally establishing some performance measures that you've indicated you would like and controls to ensure continued success in the future. So jumping right into it. First, we want to look at expanding your team. We felt like this was a primary issue for you right now, and keeping that element of quality really is essential when it comes to expanding your team. So some pros towards the expansion. First, it will alleviate time for your current employees. We do understand that they are currently stressed out, they have no overpay time, and they're working up to 75 hours a week, and really projects are coming in, we don't have enough employees. So the possibility of completing more projects will definitely be there. It will be more feasible for you, and the availability of employees for Bosses 102, another project that you were considering, will be there. Finally, an expansion of your team will also require changing your location. Right now, you've indicated that you do have a consent to a mortgage loan of over 20 years for this new building, so that's definitely feasible for you in the future. Some cons, definitely high competition right now in terms of hiring qualified employees. That is something that we must look at, but definitely something we think that with a couple changes in your management, we can mitigate that risk. So right now, we do recommend focusing on a team expansion before taking on any new challenges. Next is the Bosses 102 project. Some pros for that project. Capitalizing on your past success. We understand that Bosses 101 was huge for you and it generated tons of sales. So we really do want to capitalize on that success and bring it to a new extreme level in terms of Bosses 102. A reduction of production time. This project will not create will not be too hard for you in terms of getting new employees. You can capitalize on what you had in terms of the resources for Bosses 101. You can translate that into Bosses 102. It should not be too difficult for you. Also, this project is very low risk for the reasons that I had just mentioned, and you do have the cash flow necessary for it. A con, definitely hiring additional employees. We do recognize that any new projects you take on, most of them will consist of hiring new employees. That is definitely why we're stressing the fact that right now, we must hire employees before taking on new challenges. So this does seem like a profitable project with pretty low risk, so we do recommend going forward with this one. In terms of the console game, a pro for this, consoles are right now in the industry are reaching the end of their cycle. So the competition is low right now and should remain low for the next 18 months. Sony and Microsoft have not announced the launch of any new consoles, so this could be a gap in the market for you. There's also reduced production time. The lines of codes that you have from a previous project, as well as your Boss's 101 design, which you've indicated you could use for the design of the console, this could be a pro for you. However, we do feel like the risk of the decline in sales will be extremely high once Sony and Microsoft do launch their consoles, and this could lead to obsolescence of your console. So this does seem like a high-risk project for you at the time, and it may impede with the production, product development growth in the future. In terms of Forever Play, now, we do understand that this could be an exciting venture for you, and the partnership with this video game connoisseur, this could add expertise on your team, and this could be definitely advantageous for you in terms of competing with what is already out there. However, we must take a look at some fallbacks as well. First, an extremely high risk is the debt that you're going to have to take on when you join forces with Forever Play. Salaries have been owed for a month right now. Services have not been paid for 2 months. This could represent poor financial management, and this is something that will definitely be affecting you should you wish to join Forever Play. Also, right now, he is not eligible for any kind of financial assistance, which may be difficult in terms of the logistics of the joint venture. So really, we think that this venture is very high risk due to the large amount of debt that you'll be taking on, and right now is not something that you want to do. In terms of the Dreamworlds project, now, we do understand that Dreamworlds has a strong brand name, and this association can really benefit you. And there is the possibility of having similar projects like this one in the future. Should you take on this project, this can open up the field for a huge gap in the market. You can take on new kinds of games, and this can be really beneficial for you. However, we do have to look at some cons with this. We need to take a step back and realize what we are made of, what you guys came here for. You have the quality. You want to keep that quality while growing in the future. This short timeline may hinder this quality perception that you have, and we don't think that that's something you want to do in the future. So the standards and the vision you had also for these projects, you mentioned weren't necessarily in line with what Dreamworlds had in mind. So that's something also we need to take into consideration, because we want you to focus on what you have going for you. The success you've had with the Boss's 101, we want you to keep that vision going forward. So we do believe that this project is also high risk at this time, and maybe something that you can consider in the future. However, for the moment, it's not something we recommend going forward with. Now I'll pass the floor on to Francis Carl, who will take you through some quantitative analysis.
All right, so the first thing we did was just take a look at every one of the projects and look at the ones that were just not feasible. And now, the thing we had to do is, there's not really any information about the cost. There's no detailed information of how cost was allocated, so we did it for you. Now, there was 2 main parts in any projects: developing the program, programming the program, and designing the program. So we did this. We allocated the cost. We know that, Antoine, that you have a team of 2 senior producer, designer, and 2 associates. So what we did is we determined a cost per hour for each of them, and also weighted it based on the number of hours that were going to be worked in a year. So let's say, for example, there are Antoine at $90,000 a year at a cost, and 60 hours per week on average. It gives us a cost per hour of 1,500. So, and then taking the weight of the number of hours per the number of people with the number of expenses on total, we took a weighted average cost per hour. So doing this, we're going to use these costs to analyze each of the individual projects. Right, so the first project we wanted to look at is the Forever Plate quantitatively. They told you that they're gonna have $650,000 of income in the following year. However, they've been at a loss for the past 2 years. We feel it's very, very unlikely that they achieve that income. So instead, we took a look at their net assets. They provided us with their balance sheet, which amounted to a negative residual equity of negative $150,000. So we felt that because the net income was not reliable, that using the assets instead was much more reliable. And we feel that it's simply not worth it to do any transaction with this company because it is a very high risk transaction. Now, if we take a look at the dream world, they told us the number of sales they're gonna have from their movie, and they said that there's a 90% chance of 11 million, or there's a 10% chance of 6.5 million. And out of that, there was 1% out of 5 or 1% out of 10 that was going to acquire our products. So based on these sales, the 90% sales amounted to approximately 3 million. And if it on the other hand, it's 10%, so I just took a weighted average again, which gave us a total sales of 3.1 million approximately. Now, it's going to take 2,000 hours of design and 4,000 hours of programming. So we just took the number of hours times the hours per dollars per hour, which gives us a total of approximately $9 million. Adding the tax credit, since they are category 2 type of income, we took the 26.25%. So it's not a very profitable project, mainly because there's not enough sales to justify the amount of expenditures that's going to be required for this project. So we should definitely decline this project. So really, our recommendation is, first, get the building, because you need to get those employees. And then continue with Bosses 102, because it's definitely a profitable project. And then we do recommend to decline the offer, even 100% or 25%, because we know that one of the 3 partners did not want to sell any part of their any parts of their business. So we definitely do not recommend the offer. Now, so what we did is we implemented our recommendation, and then we just did a projection of what 2013 was going to look like, and we did it on an incremental basis. So we just took your income from your net profit, net income from 2012, added the increase in sales that Bosses 101 is going to generate. Now Bosses 102 will not generate any income until 2014, end of 2013. So we assume it was 2014. These are the increased costs from hiring the new associates that you provided us if you acquire the new building. So the producer designer, the associate, and also we recommend increasing the salaries by 5% to retain your employees. Now the interest related to for the mortgage is $60,000 in the first year, and there's an increase in the tax assistance because there are additional costs related. There's additional labor, so the projected income is $6.2 million. So there is a significant increase, mainly because of the new additional sales from Bosses 101. Now I'll pass it on to Megan, who's going to take a look at some of the management tools for you guys.
All right, so now that we've outlined some options for sustainable growth and noted that you have to hire additional employees in order to achieve this, we'll take a look at some of the compensation and performance management issues. So the first issue we'll look at is employee wages. Currently, you have the 3 of you as well as 12 employees that are working for you. It's important to note here that in the past 2 months, 2 of your employees have been headhunted and have gone to work for the competition. So really, this is because the salary that you're offering your employees is 10% below the average market rate in Montreal. So in order to retain your employees and attract new ones, you have 2 options. The first is to increase your salaries by a minimum of 5%. So some pros of doing this is that your employees will really feel valued if they have an increase in their pay, and in turn, this will create value through your company and produce quality products, which is one of your main core competencies. Another pro of this is that you'll have a higher retention rate since your employees will feel valued. And in order to recruit new employees, you'll have a more competitive offer to give them. However, some drawbacks of this option do include that it'll be more costly since this is a cost that will reoccur year over year. And you yourselves will have to spend more time in the hiring process. However, one benefit that we see of this is that you'll be able to tell if the employees really fit with your company and fit with what you're looking for. And we also noted that your assistant, you may be able to use her and delegate some of the HR tasks to her, since right now she isn't currently in charge of any. The second option that you have to hire new employees is to use a headhunter. If you use this service, the cost will be 10% of the employee's salary that you hire. So a pro of using this approach is really that it'll be a one-time cost, it'll only be incurred this year, and then after that you'll have your employee. A drawback, however, is that you may lose that employee and additional employees if you don't increase their salary, because they won't really feel valued and they may obtain other headhunter offers and go work for someone else. However, it is important to note that this method will allow you to recruit in a faster way, so it'll be more efficient. Based on this analysis though, we do recommend that you implement an increase in your employee's salary to make them feel more valued and to retain them and recruit more in the future. So now we'll move on to employee retention. As I mentioned, some of your employees have left to work for your competitors, and really you cannot compete with those competitors in terms of the salaries they offer, the employment security, or the fringe benefits. However, one aspect that you can compete with them on is your work atmosphere and the value that you can give to them. So really, we recommend that you focus on creating a good working atmosphere. Stick to your core values, which include having fun at work, a little bit of humor, producing quality products, all of that, and that environment will attract employees towards you. Another important thing to attract employees and to really retain them is to have strong and cohesive management decisions and really to lead by example. So if your employees feel that you believe in what you're doing, they're going to believe in it too, and that'll really help them want to work for you and produce quality products. Another point to make them feel valued is to offer them training and growth opportunities within the company. So you should also consider promoting from within. You should also recognize major accomplishments, such as if you have a game that really makes like the top 25 in the App Store, for example, you should celebrate that accomplishment to make them feel valued. And lastly, you currently do offer them bonuses, so it's important to continue to do this. And now we'll move on to take a look at how exactly the bonuses affect this. So right now, the employees have no idea how their bonuses are calculated or what they're based on. And this creates ambiguity for them, and it may make them feel a little bit uncertain about their job and whether their work is really being valued. So in order to retain them, you have to really distribute a lot of information to the employees about how their bonus is calculated so that they themselves can do a better job and really see the results. So we do recommend to set up performance indicators for your bonus and definitely communicate them to your employees. So in order to develop some performance indicators, we have developed a balanced scorecard that is tailored specifically to your needs. So the first aspect are the external measurements. So we've outlined a few here. Obviously there's more that you can consider in the future as your needs change and grow, but some of the main ones that we think are really important are the number of the games that are sold on the iOS system as well as on the Android system. That'll really help you measure how well you're doing. Another indicator could be the number of top games that you have in the App Store. And you can do this very easily because Apple sends you all of that information directly, so you already have all the information you'll need to do that measurement. Another important measurement is the number of users that are using your apps. So you can really tell which type of games people are looking for, which are less popular, and you can adapt to that. And the last external measurement are customer reviews. So you can use these reviews to see how satisfied your customers are, to do some changes or bug fixes in your games, and that'll really help you. For the employee measures, we really want to focus on employee satisfaction. So ways to measure this are the number of overtime hours that they're working, the number of games that they've released on, and the top games that they've worked on, as well as the number of hours that they've spent in training. In terms of internal measurements, we'll look at the time it takes to produce a game, as well as the cost associated with it, and the cost versus the budgeted cost that you had outlined at the beginning. Lastly, for financial measures, we really want to focus on increasing sales and increasing revenue. So this breaks down into two parts. The first are the application sales, and the second are the conversion sales. The last thing we'll take a look at today is the implementation of control measures. You mentioned to us that currently there's no real controls in place at your work. We really think it's important that you need to have controls in place to measure your own success and your growth. So some that we recommend are the use of employee timesheets to track their overtime, and that also ties into the performance measurements that we indicated earlier. We also recommend to hire a bookkeeper and use an accounting software in order to really track your success and your growth. So this will really help you out here. So now I'll pass it on to Frank, who will conclude.
So what we have for you today, our recommendation is don't change what you've always been doing. Just do the same thing. Continue growing internally. Increase the number of workers you have. Don't try to sell your company or have a joint venture with another company. We really feel that the reason why you've been successful is because you have 3 owners that are very competent and they know what they're doing. So by doing this, you will really be able to increase your income in the best way possible, and it's really going to maximize your growth potential as a whole. So we do recommend declining all of the offers from either selling your shares or the joint ventures. And finally, implementing the balanced scorecard will really help you understand how well your employees are doing. So we thank you, and we open the floor to any questions.
Can you go back at slide number 9 when you talk about the costs? Yeah, when I look at this, you see, for example, Antoine Anger, his salary is 90,000. He works 60 hours per week, but you have to divide that by 52 weeks. So, which means that you guys overestimate the cost per hour by like 5,000%, which bring some opportunities are maybe overestimated in the cost. So next time, just make sure that you have the right cost.
Programmers should be in the programmer. Can you, employee wages, can you explain me your thought process behind a 5% wage increase, considering that our own employees know that we've made it basically. We have made millions out of the game, they're underpaid, and they haven't had any bonuses either. So can you explain why you're recommending such a low increase in wages?
Well, we really felt that with your current financial situation, as well as all the other opportunities that we told you to go for, that a 5% increase is justified. We really feel that you want to retain your employees, so keeping the same salary that you have now, they'll probably get offers from other companies and go work for the competitors.
But don't you find even giving a 5% wage, they're still going to be underwater compared to the other companies in Montreal? Don't you feel it's not enough? Or I'm just trying to understand why giving, since we have the cash basically in the bank, why are we keeping that cash rather than give it to our employees in retention?
We felt that the mix of both a bonus that was well designed with a 5% should be more than sufficient enough to retain them.
Okay. Before expanding the team, have we checked if we have enough manpower to do BOS 102 with the actual staff?
It would require, by the end of, in 2013, to hire more additional forces.
Additional forces.
Looking at the DreamWorks project, I guess it was slide 11 or something like that, I'm not sure. Because of the mistake we just talked about in the cost per hour, in fact, the cost for the project, I think, is overestimated by 10 times fold. So if we revisit that slide and the expected benefit for that project, would that change the decision to support it or not?
It's also something you've never done in the past. You never had an agreement with a film producer We feel that really staying true to yourself, to what you do, is more important, and is really how you're going to be maximizing all the hours of your workers.
Why not sell to ED? Because they're giving us a pretty good offer. 30 million is more than our actual value. So why not sell to them?
We felt that, like, one of the three of you really did not want to sell at all. We felt that might as well. You have such great opportunity on an standalone, and just selling for a good value does not mean that's the right move for you. The right move for you is to stay as a whole and continue operating yourself. Unless if they added, like, there was some extra added value from selling 25%, for example, any synergies, or if you could get additional contracts, and then yes, that could be a possibility. However, we feel that you staying as a whole is just.
De mon côté, moi, je suis correct. Merci. Bravo. Ça influence pas tant le...